Ponies the Net, I am Countess Rose, and welcome to Two Mares Review, where we review anything from character design to fanfiction. I'm here with my co-host Firescales.
Hey peeps!
And this week we will be viewing a suggested fanfic by a author known as Bag of Vicodin. And the fanfic this week is Therapist Visit Queen Chrysalis. Now, this fanfiction has actually been on hiatus for a little while, but it was such an interesting story that we felt like talking about it.
Yeah.
So, Firescales, do you want to do the synopsis?
Right after I take a bite into a cookie. Really, Countess. Bad timing.
What are you talking about? That's amazing timing.
Mm-hmm.
I always get you when you're eating.
I know. You need to stop that. Basically, our beloved villain, she kidnaps a therapist pony. She kidnaps a therapist pony and basically threatens to kill him, or actually she says, I am going to kill you by spilling that. By the way, spoilers.
This is a review, people. Spoilers are a thing.
But anyway, she kidnaps a therapist who is also doing sessions with Princess Luna, and basically takes him hostage and just kind of does a ask question, give answer, kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
That's basically how it is.
Yeah.
Sounds weird, but it's actually really interestingly written, because all the dialogue is all Chrysalis, and which the writer did a really good job in describing, at least by Chrysalis saying what, the therapist pony's, saying or doing or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, a little bit of side note. This is actually a spin-off story from another fanfiction by Bag of Vicodin, just titled Therapist Visit, which is based around Princess Luna, which I've read partially through and is quite a good read. He also does another one with Princess Twilight, which is also, again, I've partially read it, and it's actually really, really good. All of these are done in this first perspective kind of written style, where it's just the person who's talking to the therapist is the only dialogue, and it's all first perspective, and it's actually really, really interesting.
Yeah, it's like a point of view story.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote Chrysalis very well, very sarcastic and snarky, very demanding.
She is the queen. She demands.
She demands your attention. So I think he wrote her very well. She doesn't seem whiny or pretty spoiled princess.
She was an OP. Overpowered. Like, sometimes when I see Chrysalis written, she's like, either we get very spoiled or whiny, someone who's completely incompetent, or someone who's overpowered, and you're wondering, how did she not beat Cadence again?
By her love bubble.
Oh, that love bubble.
Nope.
I've heard from the other people that it apparently was very, very painful.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the story, I think it was actually very well done. Actually, the therapist apparently had very little insight of what actually happened on the Camelot wedding. So Chrysalis kind of explains what went down, and she gives some pretty decent backstory about why she was in the bubble, and the bubble happened, or the shield happened with shining armor. And it's actually quite a competent plan, but she underestimated Cadence and Shining Armor's love for each other. Yeah, she underestimated them, and that ended, as we all know, very poorly.
I like how the writer described what the love bubble felt like to them. Kind of like water. Like if you obviously you get dehydrated if you don't drink enough water, but if you drink too much, you get waterlogged. You can die from that, as well as dehydration. So it's kind of like, oh, I didn't think about too much love would be a thing for changelings.
Yes.
You learn something every day.
Yes. You could have just asked me, but yeah. Overall, I think it's very well written. I actually felt very concerned for the therapist, even though we, as the reader, don't actually get any dialogue from him. But same fact, it's written so that we feel like we're the therapist, and sometimes it's actually well enough written that, like, if it continued, probably I would have felt like I was actually the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's actually very well done.
Yeah.
It really, probably a dramatic reading of this would be very interesting to hear how that was handled. Because, like, I think some sound design for this would be amazing. But Bag of Vicodin, if you're listening to this by some strange odd chance, if you continue this, I'd be very, very happy.
Yeah, please, please do. I wouldn't make it terribly long, especially since you're deciding to explain everything in terms of the Canterlot wedding and Twilight. Basically everything that a brony would already know. If you're going to take that route, I would, don't make it, like 7 chapters long or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe like continue the story of Chrysalis, because I feel like you were trying to do something with this, and I would really like to see where you was going with this. Me personally think if it became terribly long, the first-person dialogue would seem tedious.
And repetitive.
Yes, and also exposition-y, which is kind of how the only way you can get information out through this type of writing style is through exposition. From what I've read of your Twilight one, which was actually very nicely done as well, that one actually was handled pretty well.
Was it?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually one chapter. You probably should read it.
Yeah, I probably should.
So, Fires Ghost, do you have any other points?
I'm very curious as to why Chrysalis brought him here. What could a therapist do for a changeling queen whose main purpose is to devour what others have and what she can't have? So I'm just kind of like, what does she need? I mean, obviously she could pretend to be the cult and steal the love from his wife and whatnot, but she doesn't do that. She prevents her hunger and brings this pony in. So I'm kind of like, what problem or what question does she has that really needs to be answered that badly? So please continue.
Yes. Again, we would like to hear more, even though this has been on hiatus for 2 years.
Big no.
So yes, I believe that is all we have to say on this subject.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is all that we have on this fanfiction. It was very well done in general, and we would love to see it continued, hopefully in the future. Of what I've read of Mr. Bag of Icon's other work, it is interesting. Your one on Button Mash, I'm curious on.
Lots of questions to be asked.
Yes.
And must be answered.
Must be answered, but fanfictions take a while to read sometimes. Okay, so that is all for today. If you have a character you'd like us to critique or a fanfiction you'd like us to review, please leave a link to it down in the comments below. And until next time, guys, this has been Countess Rose.
And I'm Fire Scales.
And this has been Two Mares Review.
Bye!